I wondered when you would get around to reviewing someone as awesome as I.
I know, Megatron, I've been spending a lot of time reviewing, Galvatron. I get it, you got a little bit jealous.
I never get jealous. I just win.
Okay. Well, with that said, I guess it's a good thing that I'm finally getting around to taking a look at you. And this is part 2 in my evolution of Megatrons in my collection. So stick around, you might learn a little bit about me, and this is my custom Transformers Generation Thrilling 30 Deluxe Class Megatron. Okay folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot, and I appreciate you stopping by. And we're going to take a look at this guy. Obviously, you might know the mold. You've probably seen him. You probably own him. And when he came out, he had a beautiful pearl-esque paint job, and he had some great purple highlights for Energon, I guess, detailing. He looked really good, and then I went and ruined him by painting him up. Why would I do that? Why would I possibly do that? Well, you see, if you saw a video that I just previously did, in very recent times, I looked at this guy. And this was the Cannon Blast Fusion whatever. This guy was a 4. He was nothing great, but he was the first Megatron that I ever had. I never had the G1 version. And the classics, yeah, I reviewed it recently, but I never had that either because I didn't like the color. And I wasn't necessarily going to get this guy. But when he was announced and when he was coming out, I saw, see if I can show this. I saw, please focus. I saw that beautiful, fantastic head sculpt, and I said, wow, that's Megatron. That is Megatron. And though he was stylized and looked kind of different, I thought he still looked really imposing and good. And at the time I was thinking, hey, a deluxe class is still great. In fact, here he is next to a more modern day deluxe anyway. This being the Combiner Wars Off-Road. Oops. This being the Combiner Wars Off-Road, and you can see like they scale well. They do. They scale well for deluxes. And I was okay with that, but I didn't really like the, I guess the IDW inspired paint job, so I wanted to customize him. So I painted a lot of him silver. Actually, I used one type of silver that did not cure well, came off a lot. I touched him up with a different silver. I probably still have a little bit of work to do with him, but I've actually been using this guy in my ongoing work for the stop motion series that I'm working on. And you've probably heard me mention that a few times. That still has a ways to go, but I am working on it. Anyway, moving on, I also added some red in between and down, I guess in between his upper arm and lower arm, and down underneath I added some red and a little bit right on the front. I put black down on his lower legs, silver on his feet. I painted his cannon black, but I did leave the purple on, I guess, this side of it because I still think it looks cool. Overall, I mean, the paint that was on him, if you like that style, it was, it was a good 9. It would have been nice to have the Energon detailing on it. But it was pearlesque, it was beautiful, it was really good. I done this to him, and I felt like, that's a good 9.5, 9.75. That looks like Megatron, even if the body type is a bit different. And even if he turns into something that isn't traditional. So, I went with it. I went with it and painted it and said, I hope I don't ruin the guy. Posability, playability for this guy. Well, you know what? He actually makes an excellent stealth bomber. In that mode, he's fantastic. And in this mode, the head does go left and right on a ball joint a little bit. It does wiggle a little bit. Not really much up or down. The shoulders can, go out respectably far. Probably not perfect, but respectably far. We have a nice 90-degree elbow bend and a bicep swivel, and the hands can, for transformation, they kind of bend in if you find that them bending in is any good. The shoulder can go all the way. Maybe you can't go all the way around. I thought it could go all the way around. Yeah, it can. It might knock onto something. I do find, at least with mine, that when I move the shoulder a lot of times, this happens to the chest and it sort of moves with it. This often comes unpegged. He doesn't have a waist, but he does have thighs way out to the side, and that looks great. They do go really all the way forward. They do go way back. Take that down. There is a swivel, here. There's a nice deep knee bend, and his feet do tilt a bit, really, because of transformation. A lot of people have complained about the hollowness in the backs of his legs. So some people, myself included, tend to just close those up a little bit to try and help it out. It is what it is. It kind of had to be done for transformation, as you will see. Overall, though, posability, playability, well, the one that I had as my Decepticon leader had terrible posability, playability, maybe like a 3. This guy is a good 8, 8.5. And I was like, wow, I could do so much more posing-wise with him and whatnot. And I loved it. I thought it was absolutely top notch. Transformation. Let's jump right into that. By the way, in case you have gotten a little bit lost, right now this guy is really scoring a good 8, 8.5 as an overall mark. Let's get into his transformation and see what that's like. Well, we begin by taking his fusion cannon off. And I've been curious about how exactly this thing was going to integrate. And it's sort of ingenious the way that it's done. You close it up and make it smaller, and you split it apart, and this peg here flips down. And now you have the two, what will be outer wing pieces for his jet mode. And of course his jet should be all sleek black. Obviously mine is not. We'll do the easy things first, like flip in his hands. No problem. We're going to unpeg his shoulders from up here. There's a little peg right there. No problem. We undo his waist, which sometimes I feel like that really pegs in there, and other times it's like it doesn't really peg in there very well. It's sort of strange, actually. If I can unpeg his waist, it doesn't really seem to want to come now. It might be a little swollen with the heat. Hold on here. Let's see if I can. There we go. You unpeg his waist, and when you do it, you bring it up straight there, and you bring the whole thing back, and his head will go underneath. You see that this is the main body of his jet mode. You turn the legs toward each other. You fold the feet back like this. You take the shoulder pieces that we unhinged, you bring them back, and now when you bring them back, you will kind of peg them in right here. You bring it back and you bring it in. You bring it back and you should be able to. Oh, I don't have them collapsed. I'm sorry. Let me take this out again. You need to bring these back, and you're looking to, if I can do it, okay, sorry about this. You swivel up these pieces. I forgot about that. You swivel up his chest pieces here. And then you collapse his whole chest together like that. and like that. And you bring these in close to his nose. Up like that, and like that. So this was his chest. We brought it up now and tabbed it in right by the nose of the plane. Next, you take the shoulders and you bring them around, and you can see where they fit. They kind of loosely tab in there. And we're going to have to deal with his arms. And we're going to have to deal with his legs, which I have not yet brought up. But I wanted you to see how all of that part goes together. The legs are actually sort of ingenious because they bend up on themselves. How is it that this goes? You flip the whole leg up and then you flip it down. And you bring it in the knee piece and you flip the whole thing in. If you didn't see it, you flip the leg up and you bend it down on itself and you bring in the knee piece. So his whole thigh is gone into the back of his leg. And you need to make sure that the leg and the ball joint, I guess, is facing correctly, because if it's not, you're not going to be able to get the leg in the right position. And for some reason mine is being really tight. It's not usually, I don't usually find it this tight. There you go. And you bring these up and there's a, I guess like a section right here and a section right here that notches into this little triangle-y section. And they peg into the side of this canopy section. So bring that up and bring that up. Did I have this? And there you go. You end up with something that looks like this. We still have his arms free flowing, so I will deal with them now. I do find that for me, I've always had to hold this guy together as I'm doing a lot of this stuff. You turn the arms so that this section is facing up, and you see a little tab here on the side that'll go into a hole right there on the side of the leg. Like that. Same on this side. You bring the shoulder down. You have to kind of hold the leg in place, at least I do. You turn the forearm, peg it in. And this is the jet mode that we end up with. You take this piece here, and there's a little tab right here on his arm, and you use this little slot on the gun piece. See if I can show it. Little slot there on the gun piece to go over that tab, and it should line up nicely. And same on the other side. There's a tab underneath the arm right here, and you put that little hole of the gun over it, and it should line up. Now originally the entire plane was black. Obviously, because I painted mine, he is a mix of black and silver, but I still think he looks kind of sleek, and it's still uniform. I think he looks good. I think it's a good looking Megatron. I really do think it was a good looking Megatron. Now, that being said, I just sort of fiddled over the transformation. A, because I haven't done it in a while, but B, because he is kind of a fiddly transformation. I give his transformation about a 7, maybe a 7.5. It's going to be challenging for kids. It's great for collectors because it's involved, and for some reason mine was really stiff. I wonder if it might have something to do with the heat that we have here and the humidity that we currently have here. Overall, was this a perfect Megatron? No, but he's a good 8. He's a good solid 8. I think he's going to be more fun, or he was more fun for chug collectors. I feel like for kids, it's the sort of thing where, as a parent, you would be given the toy and asked to put it in plane mode, or asked to put it in bot mode. But he was step 2 in my evolution of Megatron. And you know what? He was a really good stand-in, especially because my version at the time of Optimus was like the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron version. So it was a deluxe and a deluxe. And then we hit the Age of Extinction movie line. And I ended up getting the Evasion mode Optimus Prime because I thought that truck mode was perfect. And the bot mode, I could customize that. Well, all of a sudden, now I had a Voyager-sized leader of the Autobots, and I thought a Voyager-size actually worked great. What was I going to do about this guy? What was I ever going to do about this guy? Well, stick around for part 3 in my evolution of Megatron, and I'll show you what step I took first to kind of rectify that. Overall, this guy is, even by today's standards, I give him about a 7.5, maybe an 8. He's good, but he's not perfect. Anyway, thanks for dropping by. Thanks for sticking around for part 2 in this, I guess, this little Collector Evolution series. And I look forward to the next time that we get together right here for another visit inside the videos.